the pandemic proved us right, that the store mattered more than anything else in American retailing. Retailers, particularly if they want to grow, right, and we can talk about retailer growth, they have to open new stores. I think the American consumer is what will prevent the American economy from falling into a recession this year. It's not potential, it's a real deal. It's a real deal.
If you could bust one myth about the state of retail right now, what would it be?
That the American consumer is under this immense pressure and inflation is rampant. None of that is true. Absolutely none of that is true. We have low 4% unemployment. We have wages growing, now going into their fourth year, faster than the rate of inflation. The American consumer is the stalwart of the global economy, period, full stop. You want the best news for the golden age of retail?
Go for it.
15 to 23-year-old young women. What do you think they say is their number one way they want to shop?
Gonna guess online.
Not even close. 83% of them say their preferred way to shop is in person, in store. The merchants that cater to that cohort, they know that. And they're really, really good at getting them to come in the store, frequently with tech-enabled offerings. Increasingly, the best merchants are also using the store for last-mile fulfillment.
What do you mean by that?
So we have seen, particularly since the pandemic, the best merchants use the store to cross-fulfill e-commerce orders. Whether it's buy online, pick it up at the store, buy online, pick it up at the parking lot, buy online and even get it delivered from the store. Target, it's public, they fulfill 95% of their e-commerce offerings from the store. Walmart is increasingly moving that percentage up. It was sub 50, it's well above 50 now, they're moving up.
It's expected that nearly 140 million square feet of retail space will become available this year. So, what does that signal to you?
So that sounds to the layperson like a really, really huge number. And we're seeing all over the country, much of the space that becomes available are obsolete regional malls and closed regional malls where the viable tenants have moved out, very often to shopping centers run by DLC or other groups like DLC. And by and large, that space is off the market. So it's not really viable. If 15 or 20 large regional malls close every year in America, and the number's probably a little bit higher than that, I don't know the exact number off the top of my head, that's 20% of the space you're talking about right there. As it relates to the bankrupts, in many instances, the space is largely spoken for.
DLC is one of the most active players in acquisitions in the last few years. What's behind this?
So, very intentional. As I said, we're a people-first business, and we're very focused on what our people who interface with the retailers are telling us. And the retailers were speaking with their wallets, renting more space, paying more rent, and saying, what else you got for me? What else you got for me? And I realized that the market was far better than people knew. Most people were focused on the fact that interest rates were starting to rise and that most people who had been in the space and had been acquiring were mostly doing so because rates were low. We were doing it because we saw improving fundamentals, and that was a key differentiator between us, and not all of our competition, but a large swath of our competition. Retailers also continue to add stores in markets you would not expect. So why is that, right? The reality is that as the retailers get better and better and better, they realize that they can put their stores closer together. They can make their stores a little bit smaller, or in the case of a handful of retailers, much smaller. Burlington would be the poster child for that. By making their stores smaller, their operating leverage gets much, much better, right? They need fewer people, they pay less rent, they pay less taxes, and they have been very, very successful. Now, do those stores do the volumes that they do in the basin of Los Angeles or a North Dallas? No, but they make money. I always knew that the retail apocalypse was total BS. I never believed it. Everybody thought that the pandemic was going to be the thing that tipped the scales over for e-com, and e-com went up. and disproportionately so. But what it actually proved was you can't do e-com without a store. The store is this powerful weapon for the retailer. It cannot be overstated. And it's kind of always amazes me of where we've come, how much we've grown, how far we've evolved, and how we've turned into the leading people-first organization in the open-air retail real estate space.